Welcome back to another explainer. So, I want you to do something for a second. Just look down and imagine what is directly beneath your feet right now. Dirt, solid rock, maybe a super deep layer of bubbling magma. Well, sure, that's what physical science tells us. But thousands of years ago, ancient Vedic sages looked for answers to the structure of the universe not by digging into the earth, but by diving incredibly deep into their own consciousness. And what they saw in these profound states of meditation was a universe composed of 14 distinct realms, or Lokas. But here is the real secret to all of this. We're not actually talking about literal underground geography or physical planets floating in the sky. Today, we're exploring a profound, completely mind-bending ancient psychological map of the human mind itself. Okay, let's dive right into this. You know how modern quantum physics is constantly buzzing about concepts like the many worlds interpretation? This idea that multiple dimensions or timelines might exist simultaneously? Well, the ancient Vedic texts stated this exact premise thousands of years ago. It's absolutely wild. These ancient sages essentially bridged deep meditative vision with concepts that our modern science is literally just beginning to theorize. So, we're going to unpack how these 14 ancient realms beautifully and surprisingly accurately map out our very modern mental states. So here's our roadmap for today's journey. First up, the secret of 14 Lokas. Second, Adalokas, the fall of consciousness. Third, Bhuloka, the battlefield of karma. Fourth, Urdhvalokas, the rise of consciousness. Fifth, Moksha, beyond all realms. And finally, we'll wrap up by asking, which Loka are you in? Don't worry, we're going to travel from the absolute darkest depths of the psyche all the way up to ultimate liberation, step by step. All right, Section 1. The secret of 14 Lokas. Now, to really grasp this, we first need to look at the source material. This whole concept of 14 realms isn't just some passing metaphor. It's a remarkably consistent, highly structured vision detailed across major ancient texts like the Vishnu Purana and the Bhagavata Purana. These thinkers didn't map the cosmos by pointing a telescope at the stars. They mapped reality through the lens of deep human consciousness. And this table right here brilliantly illustrates the basic structure of this whole reality. It's like a giant cosmic hourglass. The universe is divided into three main sections. Up at the top, we've got the 7 Urdhvalokas, which are the higher realms. Down at the bottom, the 7 Adalokas, the lower realms. And right smack in the middle sits Bhuloka, which is Earth. But remember, these aren't physical addresses you can punch into a GPS. They're frequencies of existence. The absolutely crucial takeaway here is that you reside in the Loka that matches your current mental state.
Moving right along to Section 2, at Lokas, the fall of consciousness. Let's actually start our descent into those lower 7 realms. Now, keep in mind as we go down, the darkness we're about to explore is entirely internal. It represents a fall in consciousness, where the human mind slips into these various, very real psychological traps.
Let's unpack the first 3 steps downward. First up is Atala. The ancient texts describe a powerful intoxicant here called hataka. Psychologically, this is the trap of addiction. It's when a person becomes so consumed by their vices that they develop this completely false sense of invincibility, totally unaware that they're actually drowning. Next, we hit Vitala. And surprisingly, Lord Shiva resides here in a realm overflowing with literal rivers of gold. Why? Because this gold represents the ultimate illusion of material wealth and deep attachment. It's a trap of impermanence that actually requires a force of destruction, like Shiva, to balance it out. Then we reach Sutala. This is where we find King Bali, a demon king who achieved immense, unimaginable power, but ultimately surrendered everything to Lord Vishnu. This level is fascinating because it teaches us that true devotion and surrender can exist even in the darkest, lowest depths of our own psyche. Now, what's really interesting about this next one, Talatala, is this concept of Maya Danava. He was a master architect who built these indestructible, magnificent underground cities. But here's the catch. It's all an illusion. Talatala represents a mental state of perfect Maya. It's a psychological trap where you are living in a completely false reality, but you are 100% convinced it's the absolute truth. It perfectly mirrors our own blind, unquestioning attachment to the everyday physical world around us. Going even deeper, we hit Mahatala. And this one is intense. The texts describe this realm as being populated by these massive, multi-hooded serpents, the Nagas. And they live in constant paralyzing fear of their ultimate predator, the giant eagle Garuda. Just think about what this means psychologically. This is pure human survival mode. It's that exhausting, draining state of consciousness driven by pure paranoia, where you're constantly on edge, treating literally every single person you meet as a potential threat. Finally, we reach rock bottom, Patala. But here is the shocking paradox of it all. You'd completely expect the lowest realm to be a place of absolute misery, right? Just pure darkness. But no, the texts describe Patala as breathtakingly beautiful, lit up brilliantly by glowing jewels on the hoods of serpents. It's a place of supreme, decadent comfort. And you know what? That is exactly why it's the ultimate trap. Psychologically, Patala is that incredibly toxic but super comfortable habit or delusion that you just simply never want to leave, even though it represents the absolute lowest state of your consciousness. All right, Section 3, Buloka, the battlefield of karma. Let's snap back up to the surface. We're transitioning to Earth, the middle realm. In this grand cosmic hourglass we've been looking at, Earth is the crucial center point. Honestly, it's the grand plot twist in this whole cosmic journey. This is just a profound realization. The texts explicitly state a pretty mind-blowing truth. Even the gods in heaven desire a human birth here on Earth. Why would they want that? Because in the higher or lower realms, you're really just experiencing the results of your past actions. You're just burning off your cosmic bank account, so to speak. But on Earth, in Buloka, karma is actually created. As humans, we stand at the ultimate crossroads. Only here do we possess the conscious, active choice to either fall back into those lower psychological traps or ascend towards ultimate liberation, moksha. Which brings us to Section 4, Urdhva Lokas, the rise of consciousness. Let's see what happens when we actually choose to ascend. We're shifting our focus to the 7 realms above us. As we move upward through these elevated psychological states, that rigid, stubborn human ego begins to thin out, and our consciousness just massively expands. Let's rapidly ascend through these mental states. First, we pass through Bhuvar, which is kind of a transitional space of ancestors. Then we hit Swarga, which translates to heaven. Actually, scratch that. It's more like a temporary reward station for good deeds. It's definitely not the final goal. Keep pushing up and we reach Mahar. This is the state of the detached witness, where you can observe all of life's crazy chaos without being emotionally tossed around by it. Above that is Jhana, represented by the 4 eternally pure Kumaras, symbolizing a state of completely egoless devotion. Higher still is Tapa, and this is a state of complete spiritual detachment, where the everyday dualities of pain and pleasure literally just vanish. And this number brilliantly illustrates the scale of what we're talking about next, as we hit the final, highest ascending realm, Satyaloka, the domain of the creator Brahma. Time dilates to a mind-bending degree, a staggering 4.32 billion years. Just one single day in this realm equals 4.32 billion human years. It's the realm of ultimate truth. Yet, and this is a super crucial caveat, even this highest realm is bound by time. Eventually, even Satyaloka faces cosmic dissolution. It's incredibly vast, almost beyond comprehension, but it is still part of the system. Section 5, Moksha, beyond all realms. This is the final destination. To truly escape the cycle, to win the game, so to speak, we have to go beyond all 14 lokas entirely. This is Vaikuntha, or Moksha. This state completely transcends the map itself. It exists entirely outside the concepts of space and time. The ancient texts describe this ultimate state as Sat Chit Ananda, pure existence, pure consciousness, pure bliss. Think of it like a single river finally flowing into the ocean. The water doesn't disappear, right? But its rigid boundaries do. In moksha, the illusion of your individual identity dissolves into a vast, omnipresent consciousness without any limits whatsoever. There's no you or me left anymore, only the infinite. So, Section 6. Which Loka are you in? How does this incredibly ancient cosmic map actually apply to you and me sitting here today? Well, the texts tell the story of Narada, a sage who possessed the unique ability to travel through all 14 realms freely. And when he did, he saw that the inhabitants of these realms were entirely consumed by their specific realities. His journey basically proves that this cosmological map is actually a mirror being held right up to our own daily lives. Let's connect the dots here with modern psychology for a second. The famous psychologist Carl Jung maps the human mind into the conscious, subconscious, unconscious, and the collective unconscious. And you know what? This mirrors the ancient Vedic system perfectly. The 14 realms aren't distant physical planets. They are the very mental states, those conscious and unconscious layers that we navigate inside our own minds every single day. Which brings us to our conclusion, and really the most important question of this entire explainer. Which Loka are you in right now? Are you currently trapped in that paranoid survival mode of Mahatala? Are you maybe stuck in the comfortable, alluring, but toxic illusions of Patala? Or are you operating from the detached, elevated consciousness of the higher realms? Always remember, you are currently in Buloka, Earth. And on this battlefield of karma, the choice to remain in the dark or to rise toward the light is entirely 100% yours. Keep reflecting on that, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.